Hello my scrappy friends, and a big welcome to my YouTube channel today. It's Melinda Sweetman here with you, and I am sharing a post for Tracy Reed Designs over on her blog, so make sure you check out the link below for all of that information. I've got lots of information on there, and all the still photos are over there for you to have a look at. If you have been following along with Tracy's store releases, you will have seen that a few weeks ago she released the beautiful Equinox collection, which is a stunning autumn collection. I was in the midst of my study and trying to do all my normal life things and struggling a bit. So I popped this collection aside to work with at a later date, and that later date has come around. I don't have a ton of like autumn related things to scrapbook, and I'm quite happy to use these kinds of collections in everyday photos as well, but I thought I would challenge myself to create a bunch of cards from an autumn themed collection just for the fun of it. So what I did, I started by printing a bunch of the pattern papers at Australian size card front, which is 14.8 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters. I printed, I think I ended up with 3 A4 sheets, so that's 12 card fronts. And I just picked my favorite patterns. I have printed, I know definitely that wood grain more than once because I love it. And I came up with ideas as I was looking through the papers as inspiration hit me. So I've printed my favorites. I've printed the ones that I was inspired by, and I am working on the cards one at a time. So I'm starting here with this one that I'm going to go with a birthday card. You can see I have used a die from my collection that says happy birthday. I've cut that right from the center of that wood grain panel. I've also, so I did almost all of my die cutting off screen because otherwise this video would be, 14 times longer than what it is. And I've also used scrap paper to build up layers behind all of my pieces. So I did most of that off camera as well. What I forgot to mention was I started actually with this Merry Christmas card. This blue pattern paper, the little berries on it kind of made me think of Christmas. So I just embraced that idea and ran with it. These dies are also from my stash. I've used the outline, so the shadow die, to create to cut the Merry Christmas from the pattern paper, and then also from a couple of pieces of scrap cardstock for just to make the front of the card a little bit more sturdy. I am printing onto the thicker card that I shared in my video recently. I'll link to that up in the top corner. And I've added my acetate and then those 2 layers of scrap cardstock just to give a little bit of extra strength to the front of my card. I'm going to add my foam tape here. This is from SpiegelMom Scraps, and I'm using, I think it's the thicker of the 2 tapes that they do. So I'm just going to go around the outline of the words here to create my little safe place for my sequins. My cat's come to say hello. I'm using one of the plain pattern papers from this collection to back my shaker pocket. And while all of those layers are drying, I've popped a weight on it, and I'm coming back to this second card here. Found a doily from my stash, and I'm going to, you saw me before add some gold splatters to this floral. This floral is one of my favorite patterns in this collection. It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it's probably one of my all-time favorite florals that Tracy's ever done, to be honest. So I was like, yes, I must use that, and I must use that in a very obvious way. So I've laid all that together, and now I'm going to stick this onto my card base. Here is a hack that I have learnt from watching maybe 1 or 2 process videos. Using your scoring tool or your MISTI, lining things up in the corner to stick things together, especially with shakers, is a fantastic way to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. Added some sequins, which are also from SpiegelMom Scraps, and that first card is done. Actually, that's the second card. This is the first card. I just added some anti-static powder with it's Rabbit Hole Designs cottontail, I can't remember what it's called, something or other, anti-static powder tool. I love it. It's my favorite one, and I use it whenever I'm trying to either take the stick off stickers or make sure that the static doesn't stick when I'm embossing and things like that. So I've added my sequins in there. Again, SpiegelMom Scraps, and that is the Silver Stardust. I just pulled off the little piece of purple tape that had my little dot. I believe it's called a tittle for my word Christmas. I figured it was a safe place for it to be and I wouldn't lose it. I've got my card base there, and I'm just going to stick my card front, so my shaker window, to my card base. Again, using my scoring tool for that. And then I have got the center pieces to put in. So I was originally going to use the same pattern paper, but I decided that I didn't love it. So I ended up cutting the words from some matte silver cardstock, and I'm going to use those. You can see me just dropping that die. Best way to get your die cuts out if you're struggling. I see lots of people using tweezers to do this. I thought I'd give it a go because it's something I struggle with. I don't love it, but trial and error. How do you deal with tiny little thin die cuts like this that perhaps isn't tweezers, or what am I missing when it comes to using the tweezers? So you can see I'm just lining that up there. See? Just not having a great deal of luck. So just sticking that down, using my weights to make sure it sticks properly. Sorry for my head. And there we go. I'm going to add in a little spot of glue for the dot on my eye. That one is done. I'm going to put my weights back on it, make sure everything sticks properly, and move on to card number 3. This one is another birthday card. I was inspired for this one by that yellow pattern paper. It's got like a honeycomb pattern on it, and I really loved it. So I was like, I might use this, and I might use the bees that are in the stickers, and we'll go from there. So I've die cut my sentiment straight from the center of this, and I have die cut the stitch border as well, and I'm just using Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink to blend around the edges of this just for a little bit of extra dimension. I don't add any extra ink to my brush here, but then I go around the edges of this floral as well. So I've used my my rectangle stitched die for that too. And here is my sentiment. I'm just adding the Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink to about the bottom third of this. Again, just for a little bit of extra interest. And I really like the way that that works. So this is cut from the center of that yellow pattern paper as well. So here I'm going to start layering up my pieces. I'm pretty sure that all of my cards have got extra layers between the layers. I'm just working out what size I need to cut the extra layers for this one, sticking that on, using my weights to make sure everything sticks properly. All right. Now, because this one is not going into the corner, I did just eyeball it. Pop that one into the center. So I've ended up with, I think, 2 happy birthday cards, 2 Christmas cards, 1 card I think that says celebrate you, I'm not 100% sure, and another one that is a thank you card. So I had so much fun creating these. I just pulled out a bunch of my metal dies from my stash, and like I said, I was inspired by the pattern papers and the embellishments in here, and just kind of went to town. This ended up taking me a couple of hours. That was also including the die cutting, but I have 6 cards here now, and yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun doing it. So I pulled out the bees because I knew I wanted to add those to this card, and the little bee trails, and they are they're from a scrapbooking collection, so you know they're sized to go on a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout or a traveler's notebook. So I just used one of the trails and cut that into 2 pieces, and I used those. I'm going to use 2 of the bees. I'm going to add some more sequins, some more of those gold sequins to this one, which you'll see in just a sec. And that will be card 3 done. Those little bees are so cute. Cutest things ever. I love them. So you can see I pulled out a couple of other pieces. I wasn't sure what I was going to use on this one. My little tittle. What a funny word. And you can see this is my very fancy way of adding sequins. I pinch a few and drop them on and then move them around. I'll pick them up with my pickup tool thingy and add a little dab of glue and call it done. I only leave in a little bit of this process because this adding the sequins seems to take what feels like a really long time when I'm watching it back, so I cut most of it out. So that will be card 3 done. Card 4. So for this one I used my letterpress. There's the sentiment that I used. It's the thanks. Just adding a couple of extra layers behind that. And you can see in that wood grain frame, I've also done a letterpress of that floral. It's beautiful. I love it. And that's onto the green pattern paper from the collection. I'm just going to trim that out. And I'm going to use that pink stripe pattern paper up on the right hand side there and add dimension using some scrap cardstock. So I'm going to play with my sentiments here. I wasn't sure exactly which one I was going to use, so you get to watch me play with that for a little bit. And then I'm going to give up for the night and come back the following day to finish this one off, I think. I'm pretty sure I do. So you can see I'm trying to work out exactly how I want it. And this is the next day. So after some moving things around and playing with different things, I have come up with a design that I'm happy with. I surprised myself, and this diagonal stripe worked really well. So this is the leftover from another card that I had pre-planned a little bit, but it worked really well on as the outside layer for this particular card, so I ran with it. It is a little bit, that frame was a little bit off center when I die cut it, so I'm just trimming that down and I'm happy with the way that's looking. This is the pink and white stripe pattern paper, just sticking that straight in the middle with a couple of layers behind it for some interest. And then here is the frame, just adding that kind of to the top 2/3. And then I ended up with this design, and I'm just going to muck around with the leaves for a little bit, but I really love the way this ended up coming together. So I've got those 3 leaves there. I'm really happy with the way that they're looking. I'm going to glue those down to that blue label and then glue all of that down to the frame and then add on my little sentiment. I'm going to add a couple of layers behind my sentiment on the right hand side just so that it sits flush. And I think I add a couple of sequins and call it done. I think, yep, so some more of these gold sequins. I will leave a link in the description box for my code for the SpiegelMom Scraps shop, so make sure you use that if you'd like to purchase anything. It is an affiliate link and any purchases through that are helpful. So this is my next card, again featuring that wood grain. I really love this wood grain, it's beautiful. You can see on this one I have die cut and foiled a sentiment from the center of that. It says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I have cut a couple of extra layers, laid that up, and now I'm just working on adding layers behind that wood grain panel. You can see I am literally using scraps. All right. this wood grain is beautiful. I love the way this card came together as well. So I'm just using that rainbow polka dot. I am going to use more of those florals. That is the same one as that other floral that I said I really, really loved. And I use most of them from the one sheet, which, yeah, I love them so much. And I love the colour scheme on this. It is so non-traditional Christmas colours. And I think it's just different and fun. I really love it. So I'm just going to layer these around. My cameo was being a bit special, as it does. So I do have to do a couple of little bits of trimming, but you can see I'm just tucking leaves in here and there, layering them up. And I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have like two of the same colour next to each other or two of the exact same design. So at the moment, before I put that pink one in, I had those two that were the same kind of design, flower, leaf next to each other. I love these viney ones and just that bit of movement that it gives to the whole cluster. I've also got printed there on the left hand side is some of the wood veneer pieces from the embellishment digital embellishment kit, which I really love those as well. I thought I would use some and I didn't use any, so I've got some more that I can use on some other projects. I'm going to add the last couple of leaves in here. Move things around a little bit so I've got the colour and the shapes the way that I like it. I end up shuffling everything around just a little bit more so that I can tuck that in like that. Then I'm going to add in a couple of the small little like berry things here. They're really cute. I love them, and I like how they just spread that whole cluster out just that little bit more, give a little bit more interest. A couple more small details. And then I'm carefully going to glue down each leaf. I am going to just basically glue down where the stem is and where it sits underneath the sentiment. And then I'm going to use foam squares like I'm doing right here and add my sentiment to the top. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue because then it just gives me that little bit of wiggle room to get it in just the right place. And then I am going to add little dots of glue and then tuck sequins in, and I'm just going to do that. I use quite a few sequins on this card actually, and I really like the little bit of extra detail it gives, and that goes perfectly with the gold foil sentiment that I've got there. Card 5 is done, and this is my final card. So you can see that is the diagonal stripe pattern paper that I've got there, which I used the outside border on the other card. I've got another letterpress card here, so that flourish is from a letterpress plate, and then my little birds there is also from, they're from the same set. And then I've got, you can see all those sentiments there. I've used the green paper from this collection and the blue paper from this collection, the diagonal obviously, and then the birds are letterpress straight onto the paper that comes with the letterpress machine. So I'm just assembling all of that together, and before I went to assemble this I was like, my background's a bit plain, what can I add here? So I'm going to assemble all this and use my weights to make sure everything sticks. And you can see the background just looks a little bit plain here. So I went through my stash, found a background stamp that I thought I would use, using my stamp and stick mat here, and this dictionary, it's a Stampin' Up background stamp. I am borrowing it from a friend and I love it, and I don't ever want to return it, but I will. I promise I will. I love it so much. I didn't realize I still had ink on it. So I went to do my stamping and like get it ready, and there was ink on my paper. I was like, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to start again. I thought, you know what, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just give this a go and see how it turns out. And I actually really love the way that it looks. I love that it's not perfect, and it just gives that background a bit of extra interest. And I'm going to stick my layers onto the top. I think I add some sequins, but maybe I don't. I can't remember. No, I don't. But here are all my cards. So there's my first Christmas card, Shaker Christmas card. So card 1. Card 2 is a birthday card. That pattern, I love it so much. I love this card. I'm just showing you there that I'm going to trim that down. My panels ended up a different size to my card. That's okay. This is a super fun card. I think it's really cute. Love those bees. They're so cute. My thanks card. I really like the way this one came together as well. Surprised myself with that diagonal border. My second Christmas card. I really, really love that one. And then my final Celebrate You card. So that is my 6 cards using an autumn collection to create all occasions cards. This was super, super fun. If you have a collection that you really love and you're not really sure exactly how you want to use it, this is a super fun way of giving yourself something fun and different to do. A couple of tips, for me, a little bit of pre-planning went a long way. Use your favourite parts and just enjoy the process. As always, thank you so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thank you ever so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me, and I'll see you in my next process video. Have a fantastic scrappy day, my friends.